Good afternoon, Colorado. Good afternoon, everybody listening outside of Colorado. If you're not in Colorado, hopefully the weather's nice. I absolutely love it here. We in Colorado haven't gotten a lot of snow this entire winter, and my guests will definitely agree because it's going to be a miserable summer if we don't get a lot of moisture here soon. And now looking out the window, you could probably see it behind me a little bit. It's snowing. It's beautiful. And yeah, can't complain at all. So I have a very special guest in the studio today. If you are listening on K4CORadio.com or on the K4CO Radio apps or one of the many internet radio directories we're on, do know that you can go to the K4CO Radio social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, all that fun stuff, and soon TikTok, all that. And see our awesome faces because, yeah, it's going to be a fun one, especially one that's been a topic in Colorado for a while because it's been so weird, an interesting market. I'm sure our guests will agree. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Bruce. He is a real estate agent with Keller Williams Realty, Downtown LLC. You can go to brucehomescolorado.com. You can call 720-771-0495. We're also going to throw out the email, mike@brucehomesco.com, and check it all out. And if you are watching, we're going to be throwing this information on the screen while we're talking. So, Mike, how's it going, man?
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I agree with you. We need the moisture.
We do. We absolutely need the moisture. It's insane. It's been so hot and dry.
Yeah.
It's nuts. And did you already get the Denver restrictions?
Oh, yeah.
They're actually charging more. They're not restricting it yet.
Oh, Thornton, we're only supposed to water our lawns once a week.
So Thornton already restricted it.
Yeah.
I'm sure Denver will and everybody else will.
Yeah, thinking about xeriscaping already.
Yeah, exactly. Xeriscaping is pretty big now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge.
And I love it, especially in Colorado. It's like a desert-ish climate. So
yeah, that's one of the biggest misnomers when I'm talking to people out of state. When I say that I'm in Denver, they expect that I'm in the mountains. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, we're actually in the plains part. The mountains are about an hour drive if you want to get into the good stuff. So,
right,
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background. And you grew up in Colorado, right?
Yeah, I'm actually from Berthoud, originally, small town.
Nice.
Son of two insurance agents. So I've been selling my whole life. And I grew up on a farm, so probably 30 acres of land. And growing up with that aspect of the hard labor, I don't want to say hard labor, but, a little bit more than grown. Yeah. Just shoveling the pig, pens, whatever. Plus, I'm a Eagle Scout. So growing up, going on all the camping trips and hiking trips I have a huge love of the outdoors. Mm-hmm. And so that's actually where most of my business comes from, is just me goofing off outside with other people. And I just happen to network really well. But I feel it instilled a lot of good values into me.
Definitely. No, I absolutely love that. I was talking with somebody the other day, I started working at 14 years old, grocery stores, movie theaters, all that fun stuff. And nowadays, I don't know, it's just not the same in my mind. But we were talking about that before this interview. We kind of talk like our dads now. So
that's right.
It's so different, especially the music. So your parents were both in real estate.
Yep. Oh, nice. No, insurance.
Insurance. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So both in
very
sales.
Similar sales. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so what kind of led you to real estate? What kind of drew you to it? And how long have you been in it?
13 years now. I got in 2013. Mm-hmm. My wife pretty much told me to get into it. I was working at a Verizon store before that, and she just said, you need a grown-up job. So
you don't miss the customer service retail?
It is still customer service, and it's not as retail, but it's still retail.
Right.
The fun thing about it is I don't really have to sell anything. I sell myself to the client, and then they tell me what house they want.
Right.
My joke is I wake up every day unemployed, and I have to go find the work.
I like it.
So it's just you have to have the mental toughness, the grit to do it. And my thing is long-term thinking. When I first got into real estate, it was the average homeowner only kept the house for maybe 7 years, maybe 10 years. Mm-hmm. Now it's like 15, 20. So it's a much longer game, if you will. I just got to be in the relationship with those people for long term.
And I love that you brought that up because it's definitely a relationship thing. It's all about service when it comes to that. We've all had some realtors out there. Some have been good, some have been bad, some have just been, here's a house. But when they really are looking for exactly what you want and kind of bring that service into there, it really just makes it night and day where you tell your friends about it.
Totally. I do way more than open a door. I show you what's wrong with behind that door.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. What pushed you not only to a career for yourself in real estate, but also you're with Keller Williams Realty. So what made you kind of go the Keller Williams route?
When I first started, I interviewed probably 15, 20 different people, and every one of them said, start with an education. Start at a company that's going to train you. And Keller Williams at the time still is a phenomenal training center.
Nice.
And when I started, they're like, well, we need a tech guy. And I was working at a Verizon store before that. So I'm like, I'll teach you how to use your iPad. Sure.
Yeah.
And so I worked maybe 1 hour a week teaching people how to use their tablets or whatever.
Right.
And after a couple of years, I actually stepped down from that and took ownership of the office. So now I'm maybe 5% owner of the office. So they've now incentivized me to keep working there, training, recruiting, stuff like that.
Right.
It's a phenomenal company. And the thing I like is it's downtown next to Ball Arena. So I get free parking.
Oh.
Anytime that there's going on, I get to go watch whatever, and Avalanche games or Nuggets games. I can be down there grilling hot dogs and hamburgers and handing them off to people that I know.
That's huge.
It's so much fun.
Especially now in Denver.
Yeah.
I mean,
and in a relationship world, for me just to say, hey, while you're downtown, stop by and say hi.
Right.
It's fun.
Right. Especially parking. I think last time I was down there, it was like $40 just
Yeah,
to
ain't cheap.
park.
Yep.
It's like, yeah. All right. Well, we're going to talk after this too, because every once in a while I'll go downtown. So it's a real jump to switch to, or to do something like real estate, because it's all commission, basically. So, I mean, what does it really take to succeed in commission-based businesses? Because I've thought about it before, but it's like you never know when your next pay is.
Yep.
You know?
I had an agent tell me the other day in RE, Colorado, which is our MLS in Denver. So let's just say greater metro Denver, there's 17,000 licensed real estate agents.
Oh my God.
50% of all the business being done is by 2,000 of those agents. It is so overwhelming on who is doing the business and who is not doing the business. And so to get in, you got to have grit. You got to have the ability to take rejection a little bit better. Mm-hmm. My thing is just relationships, because you know 5 other realtors or more. Everyone else does, but
everybody knows a realtor.
Yeah. How do you know the person who's going to do what's right for you when you're selling? Like I said, I don't really sell a product anymore. I train people on how to make better decisions. And that's pretty much it. I don't tell you, you have to sell your house for this price or you have to buy the house for that price, but I'll give you my advice. I'll give you my recommendation, and then you can use that to make better decisions.
Gotcha. And how long, I mean, give me a picture. So, I mean, you get a phone call, you get an email, hey, I'm looking for a house. I mean, how long is the understanding of your client's goals? Because that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah. I've got some people that I've worked with for over a year now, show me a house every week, every other week, whatever it may be. Right. But they are very particular on what they need and what they want. And if it's not in that category, they're not going to get it. Mm-hmm. Other people, they're calling me saying, I'm moving in, I'll see you in a month, and we're going to buy a house next weekend. So it could be it depends on their motivation.
Right.
So, but that's the thing is I'm working now. I'm going to be working then. So if you're going to buy it now or buy or sell then, I'm here for you.
Exactly. Want to talk about the market, because as I said, beginning, it's been such a crazy market in Colorado. Yeah. You and I are both born and raised here, so we've seen it. What are you seeing in the Denver market right now that people probably don't fully understand? One, is it bouncing back? You remember a couple of years ago where it was just like an absolute bidding war between people. Kind of slowed down a little bit, but do you see it bouncing back?
I think it's too soon to tell if it's bouncing back, but I am seeing movement. Now, real estate is definitely affected by other forces, whether it be the media, news, politics, you name it. There are other forces that drive people's attention on whether or not now is a good time to buy. Mm-hmm. When I'm looking at the grand scheme of things, we have way more inventory on the market than we did last year, and more inventory on the market than the year before that.
That's good.
And I just see as, let's just say after COVID, it has been increasingly more and more inventory. However, buyer demand has not increased. And so the same amount of homes are going under contract, the same amount of homes are being sold, but we're having inventory more and more. So last year, maybe 1 in 4 homes were being sold. Mm-hmm. Just more houses are sitting on the market. So the biggest thing I'm telling people is you need to be so focused on how you pitch this property, because you really only get one shot at getting it out there. So definitely more of a buyer's market coming into it, but also affordability is high. You've seen the last 10 years, most houses have doubled in appreciation in the last 10 years.
Right.
And so anybody who's trying to buy a property, they're looking, that's probably the most expensive house I've ever seen. And a lot of these sellers, they don't want to replace the carpet. They don't want to paint. They don't want to update the kitchen.
Right. Right.
So buyers coming in going, not only do I have to buy the most expensive house ever, I now have to save 20 grand for the carpet and 10 grand for the paint and then 50 grand. It's so expensive to buy real estate.
Exactly.
But the seller's like, this is my diamond and I'm not selling it for under X. So you're constantly I'm fighting the other side of the coin or whoever I'm talking to.
And part of that fight, isn't it just, you know, I mean, if people see that a house has been on the market for longer, then that's more ammo for the buyer.
Absolutely.
So that's what you're talking about when you need to be willing to present your house and do the carpet, do the paint, do all that stuff for the buyers. Because if it sits, what would you say is kind of like the threshold? Like if a house sits longer than this right now, you know, you got some wiggle room as a buyer.
I would say if it's under 2 weeks, plan on going in and at asking price or maybe slightly above.
Okay.
If it's 2 weeks to a month, probably asking price, maybe a little bit less. And if it's longer than a month, have at it.
Longer than a month.
We're negotiating.
Right.
Now, most of the properties I've been seeing have maybe $10,000 of seller concessions that are included. But if there's work to be done or repairs that need stuff, like maybe we're talking more.
Right.
The biggest thing I've noticed is if the seller is already asking or offering concessions, let's just say you know the carpet's in rough shape. You're going to say, I'm going to offer 10 grand. Right off the bat, the buyer knows that you're willing to offer concessions. So we're going to get 10 grand, probably another 10 grand on top of that too, just because. Now is the time to negotiate. Now I'm having fun with people.
Wow.
So sellers have to sell. In the last 3 years, I've had the majority of my sellers either moving out of state for family, work, opportunity, you name it. They're moving into retirement homes, assisted living, or they're passing away and the heirs to the property are selling the property.
Right. Right.
Very, very few people are buying and selling in state. A lot of people are moving in from out of state, but a lot of people are moving out. So I'm seeing a shift.
Right.
And so just opportunity. When these houses are vacant, buyers have an opportunity. It may cost more money, but you have the ability to tell that seller, that's messed up and you have to pay for it.
Right. I never thought about offering concessions. So you would say if you offer concessions right away, you're basically saying out there, hey, I'm negotiable on it like that. I've never thought about that before. That's interesting.
And even if they're not offering concessions, they're probably going to be willing to offer concessions.
Right. Right. This next question I did want to ask, there's been a lot of conversation around insurance costs because insurance, as everybody knows here, are just skyrocketing right here. HOAs, condo associations, what's actually going on there? I loved my property, lived there for about 20 years. There was no HOA, but then I'm also the type of person who's just like, hey, don't tell me what to do with my property. Don't tell me what paint, don't tell me what light bulbs, don't tell me anything like that. But I also understand the flip side of that because an HOA will make sure that your values stay right.
Absolutely. And when we're dealing with HOAs for detached properties, it's completely different for attached properties. Attached properties, they're responsible for the structure, the roof, the maintenance of the grounds, things like that. Where if it's a detached house, they're just telling you, you have to pull your weeds. You have to have your colors this way. It's not about mismanagement, but when there is mismanagement in HOAs, a lot of bad things happen.
Right.
And so that's the drama I'm seeing is they're not saving enough money. They're spending too much money. I got involved in one recently where the HOA president went out and bought 50 different trees and started planting them on private property without the seller's consent. And it's just like a lot of these HOAs aren't professionally managed.
Right.
And so we have some concerns there. But then you throw in insurance and how insurance is skyrocketing, not just for the detached home, but for that structure of it or the complex. Their insurance is now doubling. So your insurance is going to start going up. And so now, which let's just say a condo was $300,000 10 years ago, and the HOA was $250 a month. Now that HOA is doubled in value, and your $500,000, maybe $400,000. It may not be worth as much because the more the HOA goes up, your house has to offset some of those costs. So there's drama. Yeah, we got some drama going on. And then you throw in special assessments or the fact that they didn't save up for the roof replacement or plumbing drama. We have not had a whole bunch of new condos in the last 10, 15 years. And so a lot of these homes are getting older.
Right.
And so just the update costs, the maintaining, it just everything's expensive anymore.
And that's the same way with all the condos too that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
How does seasonality really impact buying and selling here in Colorado? Because I know that, you know, it's springtime. I'm starting to see that more houses are finally starting to be like, okay, it's time to post it.
Yep.
It's time to get on the market again. So is this the time to start putting it out there? And what about the people who say, well, I need to put it out there. I'm going to do it during the winter time. I mean, it was a great winter now, but usually you don't want to be taking pictures of your property when there's snow.
Yeah. You want to be taking pictures of the property during the summer, but then
Right.
selling it earlier in the year.
Right.
I get to network with a lot of agents out of the country, out of the state, and every single market has different markets, like just seasonality aspects. My joke here is the second the Broncos lose, whether it be the Super Bowl or playoffs, you need to have your house on the market. If your house is on the market June, July, August, you already missed it. If you were to draw a bell curve and just up and down, that is our year. So February, March, April, May is the year or the months that it's going up in inventory, buyer pool, buyer activity, everything's going up.
Right.
And in July through December, it starts trailing off. Nobody wants to be moving during back to school. Nobody wants to move during Thanksgiving or Christmas, that aspect.
Right.
And so buyers or sellers that are willing to put it on the market at those times capitalize way better. So if your house is on the market mid-February or March, not many buyers are there, but the buyers that are there are very active and they're interested. If you're a buyer that's willing to wait until July, August, September, there's so many houses that are on the market. Sellers are desperate. Just bring me an offer, anything. So then you come in going, all right, I see you're offering 10. What about 30?
Right. So you would actually recommend earlier on.
To list, yeah.
Yeah.
To buy,
list this.
not so much.
To buy, not so much. When's
It
the
depends.
optimum time in your mind to buy?
August, September.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
For someone listening who wants to buy a home, and everybody, I just want to, for all of our audio listeners, we're sitting down with Mike Bruce. He's a real estate agent with Keller Williams Realty Downtown. You can go to brucehomescolorado.com. Check everything out there. For someone who's listening who wants to buy a home, what does it actually take to be ready in today's market? I know a lot of people I was myself 20 some years ago where I didn't have all my ducks in a row at all. I just like, yeah, all right, let's get a house. And it was just a nightmare kind of for a month or so.
Yeah.
What would you say it takes to really do it the correct way?
Financial prep. You need to talk to a lender. You need to bring in your team. I like to think of it like a football team or a basketball team. You've got your folks. You got your real estate agent. You got your lender, so that you know when the time is ready, you can go. Too many people think that you need some ungodly amount of money to buy. I need 20% to buy this house, and you don't. You need 3%. And then you could probably leverage the seller to pay some of your closing costs. You probably don't even need a whole lot of money to put down at all. And so having the education and the knowledge of what you really need in order to purchase what you want is the biggest thing. Right. So just talking to somebody is probably the most work that you really need to put into it. But I think the biggest thing for me is mindset. If you rent for 30 years, one property, you have successfully paid off that landlord's mortgage.
Right.
If you pay your mortgage for 30 years, you own that thing outright. And just to be, I always joke, like, I can't be the only one that wants to get you into a home. You need to be just as motivated. You need to know that when you buy that property, everything changes. Your wealth starts appreciating from that day on.
Right.
And so having that motivation really kicks it into high gear.
Hmm.
When it comes to buying, though, I think the biggest thing is focus on what you want, because there are new builds. And at the moment, new builds are screaming deals. Builders are building homes that buyers are not buying. And if you walk into a home saying, I'm willing to buy this, they will roll out the red carpet for you. So making sure that you've got the negotiating ahead of time when you walk in, knowing exactly what you want and how you want it.
Right.
Those builders will walk in and do what they want, or will do what they can for it to you, because they don't want to let you go.
Speaking of that, though, too, I have heard that if you are buying a new build, you definitely need to be represented.
100%.
All right. Why is that?
When you walk into that sales office, that sales rep works for the builder. It is their job to make sure you get all of your information to them so that the builder can get you under contract and make the thing work.
Right.
They are going to do everything they can to not get you to have inspections or doing the walkthroughs. When you're walking through the blue tape walk, they just want you to see what you can and then put the tape on the wall.
Well, and I would think, just like a lot of people probably think, is like, it's brand new. Why do I need an inspection? I mean, everything should be good, right?
Oh, not even close. That's not up to code. That wasn't done correctly. There's a rock in the sewer line. What's going on there? Like, there are certain things that happen and you're just like, how?
Right.
Whatever. Like the stove wasn't connected correctly. I had one, shout out to my brother. He bought a new build and they didn't connect the drain to his primary tub. So the first time his wife took a bath in her bathtub, drained the water, it went straight into his garage and all over his new truck.
Oh my goodness.
So like there are certain things that happen that you don't plan for. You got to figure them out. So having a good inspection is very pivotal. So, yeah.
So if you're looking at a new build, definitely make sure you are represented.
Yeah.
Right there.
And then when it comes to resale properties, houses that are currently on the market, do you want one that's updated? That's already, the seller's already gone out of their way to put in the kitchen, the cabinets, the floors.
Right.
Do you like the cabinets? Because if you're going to have to go in and buy the property at top dollar and then have to refurbish on top of that, you're just wasting money.
And that's a thing where it's just like, do I want to remodel this the way I think it should be, or let the buyer imagine and remodel it the way they want it?
But if the buyer's going to be coming in and doing it themselves, they're going to lowball you even more on top of that. So you're probably stepping over some dollars to pick up a couple dimes. So definitely be aware of that on the seller side. You don't want to be making the upgrades. You don't want to put $300,000 into a $500,000 property when you know you're not going to get it out.
Right.
You want to be putting in the nice things, but the basic upgrades as well to make it look nice. So definitely good to be talking to a realtor on that as well.
What are probably some of, in your mind, the basic things that a seller just absolutely has to do? I would think you have to paint your house. I mean, no matter what.
It depends. Price and condition are the only two things I talk about to sellers.
Okay, expand on that.
So if your property is 15 to 50 years old, the lawn is shot, you didn't upgrade the basement or whatever it may be, it's been lived in, we need to talk about the flooring. We need to talk about the paint. We need to talk about the walls. I had a listing recently where the seller liked to cook with oil, and the stains on the cabinets and the ceiling and all this stuff.
Ooh.
Like, I appreciate that you cook your own meals. When somebody walks in and sees all this, it's not going to work.
Right.
So condition is so important, but also just the quality of the property. If you just clean it, it's still an outdated property. So you should not be pricing it with all of the other properties that are updated and maintained. You need to go a little bit lower just to make sure that you are getting your best foot forward.
Right.
Yeah.
And when it comes to different neighborhoods and stuff like that, I bet pricing, a lot goes into pricing. It's not just looking around your neighborhood and saying, oh, that sold for this, that sold for this.
Not even close.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Not even close. Expand on that, because pricing is such, if you're going to put your house on the market, I mean, you really have no idea. And you don't want to just go get an appraisal and spend hundreds of dollars on an appraisal.
No.
Correct.
And the majority of homes I'm seeing of agents that I'm talking with, most houses are only getting one offer.
Really?
So if you're putting it on the market, you need to make sure you're pricing it right so that one buyer will come out and get it.
Okay.
Most houses are only getting one showing a week. So you're not going to be getting a whole lot of attention in this market at the moment. So you need to make sure that you're getting it right the first time.
Wow. So you kind of think that the market is kind of bouncing back a little bit though.
Yeah,
I would say.
for the last 3 years, we'll say plateaued.
Okay.
We may have had a negative 2% appreciation, and so it's not plummeting, it's not skyrocketing, but we're definitely staying at this level amount.
We kind of needed a plateau.
Yeah.
Because for a while there, it was just absolute craziness.
Yep.
Right.
What's killing me though is it's not depreciating as fast as we thought it would be. The market went up, and it's staying there. Feels like inflation.
How much do you think the rates have to do with your job or a seller?
The rates, very little.
Okay.
The media talking about the rates, a lot.
That's awesome. Tell me about that because I have heard that before.
Because if I can get a seller to pay 15 grand to buy your rates down, the difference between a 6% and a 6.5% rate is not going to be a huge difference. If it's bouncing around between 6 and 7 this entire year, you know what you're going to be getting into.
Right.
Now is, okay, do I want to spend a little bit more money to buy that house that I really want? Or am I willing to buy a house that's maybe a little bit more in my means to make sure that I have that power?
Right.
When I bought my first house in 2014, affordability was simple. My mortgage was $1,000 a month. I knew that a second I decided to move on, I could turn that into a rental.
Right.
Gone are those days. Most of the people that have bought the house with, let's just say 2021 and on, if you're trying to sell the house now, you are not going to be making a profit.
Right.
More likely than not, you're going to be losing money on the property just because of all the fees and things that you have to pay for. So being very smart with this, real estate favors the people who own the property long term.
Right.
This is not a short term game.
But you're seeing a lot of people are now buying for long term.
Yes.
Here.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
and oh man, I was going to ask. Shoot, you completely spaced it out. The rates, because I've talked to a lot of people, especially mortgage originators and stuff like that, where correct me if I'm wrong, that higher rates are really more of a buyer's market because then you can buy it at a higher rate, wait for the rates to drop and then refinance, and not many people, because of the media, are looking until those rates drop.
When the interest rate goes up, fewer people are playing ball. It's just more expensive to buy the same kind of home.
Okay.
And so if you are still out there buying, the buyer pool's fewer, and then you have a little bit more power. So your buying power changes when the interest rates go up.
Right. Do you look at right now as a buyer's market or a seller's market?
Definitely a buyer's market.
Definitely a buyer's market. I like hearing that.
Yeah. I mean, there are still, I always joke, the pretty ones are still getting asked to prom. The pretty houses are still getting multiple offers. But the majority of homes are one showing a week, one offer if you're lucky, and 25% of the homes are selling.
And Keller Williams, I mean, do you do staging? I've heard that virtual staging is like huge, but then you've even seen that on the news recently, the virtual staging and integrating AI with that. And there's actually realtors getting in trouble.
Oh yeah,
for that.
Oh
so
yeah,
what's your take on that?
I could take a picture of this room right here and say virtually stage with a bed or whatever, and it'll add a chandelier. Or if I've got a photo this way of the door, it may add a wall instead of the door. And so it's changing physical features of this. So agents that are using AI have to be so stringent on making sure that picture is perfect and it didn't change the dimensions of the room. Right. And so it's, I like to take a photo of the fireplace and say, add some fire, but also you got to be careful on adding a bed and then the furniture and all the other stuff, because once the buyer walks into that property going, this isn't what I thought it was. So you're playing that game. Physical staging is definitely a benefit. It is very expensive. So sellers have to play that game of, is it worth it for me to stage the whole house? Maybe just the living room, maybe just the kitchen. If it's a funky layout that you need to show somebody, like this is where your dining room table goes, this is where your couch goes, definitely worth it. But if it is a basic whatever, you're probably better off just doing nothing than anything. So
how much can people really expect when it comes to pay for virtual or for staging?
Depends on the size of the house. $200 per room, typical.
$200 per room
per month. And so if you're on the market for 1 month, great. If you're on the market for 2, 3, 4 months, maybe just get the pictures done and then
then the buyers really know that they can lowball there.
That's right.
For sellers, what would you say are the top three things that can maximize your value. We've talked about HOA, we've talked about paint and stuff like that.
That's an option. I think the best thing to do is make sure your house is ready. And so if you've been living in it for 20, 30 years, when was the last time you had it inspected? You might want to pre-inspect it, pay a couple $100 to have an inspector go through and say, that's wrong, this is wrong, that's wrong. So you have an ability to fix any of those problems before you even hit the market.
Until they become a surprise to the inspection when the first buyers make an offer.
My comment to the sellers is you can do it now and spend as much time as you need fixing it. Or you can wait and get surprised while we're under contract and then have a mad rush. In 2 weeks, you've got to change the sewer line to the roof and you got to do the insurance claim. And like everything is on a timeline once you get under contract.
Right, exactly.
So it might be better off just to get it all taken care of beforehand. So that's a big thing. I just like the pros and cons. The con of a pre-inspection, let's say the sewer line is broken and it's going to cost you 20 grand to fix and you don't have that money. Mm-hmm. Now you have to disclose it to every single buyer that comes into that house. Hey, the sewer line's broken. It's going to cost 20 grand to fix.
But on the flip side, that would have come up anyway.
Maybe they may not have done a sewer line inspection.
Good point. Right.
There's options.
Mm-hmm.
There's different things you can do. There's options. So that's a big thing. When it comes to updating the property beforehand. So if you're going to be putting in an all white kitchen or an all black kitchen or something like that, like, think what the majority of people would want. Right. Because if a buyer's going to walk in and they see the Instagram photo, but the seller took out the only closet in the main room to make it Instagram photo worthy or whatever, it ruins the functionality of the home. So making sure that you're doing the right upgrades, not spending too much money.
Right.
It's a fine line that you're balancing.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. What's your mission in real estate and the impact you want to have in your community? Now, I do know I've known many realtors out there. With yourself, I mean, being a part of the community is huge on that. So what is kind of the mission in your particular real estate?
Yeah, I want to make a difference. This is real estate is a relationship industry. I've made the mistake in the beginning of trying to get the big team and grow. And I felt like I was pushing people off onto other folks, and that's not what they wanted to work. They wanted to work with me. I have now redone everything and I focus on my people, and I just want them to be the most educated people in the market, because that's when you start making good decisions. Right. When emotions get involved, bad decisions happen. So if I can educate these people, they might start making informed decisions on the market. Like I mentioned earlier, a good agent opens a door. A great agent is going to show you the problems behind the fact. I mean, whatever's wrong, whether it be mold or structural. I'm not a structural engineer, but I'm definitely going to be able to point something out. Like, we need to get a pro in here.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is just do good, be a good person, and business comes back.
Especially if you're good at it.
Yeah. I happen to be pretty good. Yeah.
Right.
I'm in a networking group, and you really do the giver's gain mentality of the more you give out to other people, you start receiving.
Right. You mentioned Instagram, the Instagram photos and everything like that. I'm curious, how has social media changed the way you market homes? I mean, I love how you laugh at that.
Yeah.
But it's had to have changed it dramatically. And you doing this for so long, I mean, you were in Colorado the whole time like I was. I mean, I remember when there was no internet. And social media just absolutely throws a wrench in there, right?
I did not get into real estate to be a social media, I don't want to say influencer or anything. I'm not big on the social media posts and the comments and all the other stuff. But you see these agents on TikTok, like, dancing in front of their listings, and then the lady that's whispering on the properties. Like, there are so many different ways that these people are just doing anything they possibly can to get attention.
Right.
And I'm trying to do the best I can to put my seller's best foot forward. But also, like, I'm a schmuck on the camera. Like, I don't know. Like, you really gotta, it's a fine line for me. And I'm trying my hardest to just get moments and videos and post them. But this world is changing and everything's going on social media, and it's got to be with AI, and you got to have the all the bells and whistles. So making sure that it's a lot. Social media is changing. And then the TikTok, and then next it's going to be the next social media platform. And I don't know. I'm turning 40 this year, and I feel like social media and like all the things are passing me by real quick. I got to make sure I'm keeping up with it.
And they always change. You probably remember Tom. He was everybody's first friend.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
BFF's the time still. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, you're on live on K4CO Radio with Mike Bruce, real estate agent with Keller Williams Realty downtown. You can call him 720-771-0495, and that's a cell phone.
Yeah, that's my
as
cell.
well. So you can text also. Website, brucehomescolorado.com. Mike at brucehomesco.com if you want to shoot him an email. Big difference between first-time home buyers and people who have done this before. Yeah. What's some of the biggest mistakes that you think first-time home buyers make when they're going out there?
They don't bring in lending too fast enough. They wait until they find a house that works, and then they try to bring in a lender. Mm-hmm. By that time, they could have lost the property. Also thinking emotionally, I really want to be in this area, so I'm willing to buy a house I don't like to be in an area I want.
Just for, right, whether it be school district or resale or whatever it is.
Or just the view or whatever it may be. I've seen people make some crazy decisions. Mm-hmm. And then buying a house that's too much, like the money pit. You don't want to buy a house that you're going to have to put 50 or 100 grand in if you don't have that money to do so.
Right. And you said the finance part, you always recommend get the finance part done before you even look at homes.
Before even calling me, like you really want to get financing done so that you know what you qualify for. Mm-hmm. And then you get to play with that number. If the lender says my max is 800,000, maybe I'm going to buy a house at 700,000, or maybe I'm going to get a different type of loan, like a 203K loan, which allows me to do work on the property and they give me money to do that work. So if the house is in need of repair, like there are things that you can do. And it's so good just to figure out what you want before you start that search. Mm-hmm. Because if you can get focused, then all the other stuff starts fading away. I don't want the new build. I don't want the updated house because I know I'm going to buy some junky home that's going to need 50 or 100 grand. And I'm going to go in and put the sweat equity in it. And I'm going to make a fortune in it. However, the amount of people that come to me going, I'm going to do that, but I know nothing. Right. So I'm going to hire the contractors, and labor and materials are so expensive right now. So you need to make sure you're paying attention to what that's going to cost you ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. And you say also with the finance, I mean, there's a lot of times, and we work with a wonderful partner who really, she can play with the numbers anyway. I mean, as you said, you can put down 3%, you can put down 20%. If you're a veteran, you can put down 0%. Yeah. So a lot of that playing with the numbers is different scenarios before getting you involved, so that they know exactly what they can do.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, it's always good to put a property to that. However, if you just say, I feel comfortable with this monthly payment, I want to pay $2,500 a month.
Right.
The lender can back that out and then tell me they're good at 500,000. Perfect. I can work with that. And I start going in. Maybe we start the search at 525 because you never know. That seller might come down.
Right.
Work it.
Go to brucehomescolorado.com. I want you to share. You've been at this for quite some time. One of my favorite things to ask people is just like a memorable, like a real unusual story. Because especially you're in the service industry. I mean, because your relationship with the buyer or the seller, I mean, that's what puts you apart. And people are going to tell people if they had a bad experience, if they had a good experience. It's all about the reviews. And especially I love working in the radio where if I overhear somebody needs this, they need a plumber, they need an electrician, I know the person that you need to call. And it's the exact same thing with real estate.
Yep.
Tell me a memorable or very unusual situation that you had where at the finish line, not only did the customer, but you knew this is exactly why I'm doing this. I had to put you on the spot.
It's all fun and games when everything goes smoothly.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We don't need to talk about the smooth ones because that's my job, is to make it as smooth as possible.
Right.
The one that just jumped out of my head, it was a one that didn't go as smoothly. Our buyer, I was on the buying side, so I'm fighting for my buyer's rights. Mm-hmm. At our inspection objection, is when we get to tell the seller, we want you to fix A, B, C, D, and E.
Right.
We submitted a 40-line item to the seller.
40 lines?
Roof is wrong. Sewer line's at the wrong slope. There's a break in that structure over there. Seller copies the objection to the resolution, copy paste, and then signs it. Submits it back to us. And then maybe, let's say a week before closing, the agent calls me going, take backsies? How about we just give you $500? And it's like the structure, the sewer line, like we're dealing tens of thousands of dollars, and you want to offer $500.
Right. And the seller had no idea about this.
Oh, the seller knew everything.
The seller knew everything.
There's some drama. But yeah, it's just the seller was not disclosing what they should have been disclosing.
Fair enough.
So we show up at closing and I tell my buyer, you need to hire a real estate attorney. This is when the perfect time to do it. That attorney shows up and says, not only are we going to sue that other agent and the seller, we're going to sue you too. I'm like, what did I do? I told them to call you. Like, we had to go through all of discovery, provide every text message, every email, every phone call. What was that phone call about? What was that text message about? How fast did you respond from the seller telling you this? Did you tell the buyer this?
Right.
We had to go through everything. And at the end of it, the agent's like, or the attorney's like, you did everything right. Congratulations. We're not going to sue you. We're still going to sue that guy.
Right.
But it's just like to be, we'll say, edified of just like, hell yeah, I did my job, right? I'm justifying my commission to this buyer.
Right.
And they ended up taking 2 months to sell and closing a couple months later, but now they've got a great property. It's fixed the way the seller was supposed to fix it. So like, I feel like it was a good scenario, a bad scenario that ended up pretty well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. No, I completely agree with that. Is in my mind, the judge and character of somebody, especially in business, is when things get tough. How do they reply to it? How do they take care of it? I wanted to talk. You said that we're not really in the age of multiple offers on the time, but
Yeah.
you know, it still happens. So I wanted to ask, how do you help clients navigate when there are multiple offer scenarios? Because I've heard that, you know, cash offers get more attention. I've heard that bigger down deposits get more attention. I've heard many different things that kind of, you'll say, I'd go this way.
Are you talking about from the buy side or the sell side?
Both. Let's go with both, actually.
So if I am competing with on the buy side on a house that's going to have multiple offers, it's about putting your best foot forward without overshowing your hand. If this was poker, I don't want to show you all of my cards before I start gambling with you. I want to hold some of those close to the chest, but I want to put out a really good offer that the seller's going to be like, that's a great offer. I'm going to accept that one.
Okay. And in that instant, does the offer include cash offers, financing, down deposit, down payments?
Okay. I could be going up against something else. I have no idea. Okay. And my buyer, who knows? They could be 3%. They could be 20%. It could be cash.
Right.
It depends on my buyer and their circumstances.
Gotcha.
And it's about putting our best foot forward. It's not about the highest offer. It's about the best offer.
Okay.
So it may be terms. It may be the seller wants to stay on that property an extra month, or they may have already gone and they need a quick closing. So maybe we have to write that offer a little bit differently to make it a win for the seller, as long as the buyer has the ability to make it happen, or the lender to be able to close quickly or longer, whatever it may be.
Right.
We have that ability to negotiate.
Right.
So same thing on the inspection. I may say we're not going to object to anything under $1,000 to fix. That way, you know that we're not going to be nickel and diming you over the chip in the paint or the tile or whatever it may be.
Which is huge.
We're going to talk about the big stuff, the furnace, the water heater, the roof, or whatever those.
The safety issues.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
I don't throw safety in because I can throw health or safety into anything. I'm going to talk about the big items.
Right. Fair
So
enough.
that kind of stuff. On the sell side, it's really about how I am negotiating with the other agents. If one offer is coming in, how do I make that the best offer possible? It may be a counter. It may be something else. Who knows? It really comes down to that circumstance in the scenario. But if a buyer is coming in and they're lowballing my seller,
right,
I need to figure out how to get that offer higher.
How much really is the business when it comes to the relationship between buyer and seller realtors? When it comes to the back and forth
The relationship is good. You need to have rapport, I think, is more important. Just you need to be, because once again, it's not my decision. It's never my decision saying you have to do this or you should. It's my job to give you the best information possible.
Right.
If the seller can't fix the furnace or add that radon system or whatever it may be, we need to offset it some other way, or we need to at least address it to the buyer so that they know that we're not just trying to screw them.
Right.
So making sure at the end of the day, it's a win-win for everybody, because I don't want to show up at the table where they're going, I hate this. And I can't believe we're buying this property or selling this or whatever it may be.
Right.
If everyone's coming to that table going, oh, this is a good deal, that's
You never
win-win
want to
for all.
regret on that or second thoughts or anything.
Yeah.
Last question before we actually kind of sign off. You said there's a lot of realtors out there. And I agree with that. I mean, I know tons of them just in passing. And it seems like, as you said, I had no idea that only 2,000, what did you say? 2,000 do all the transactions?
2000 did 50% of the business last year.
50% of the business. So I have a question for you. Since you have been doing this for a long time, and I take a lot of experience out of that, what would you tell somebody who wants to get into real estate, who wants to jump into that pool and make a career out of it?
That's a great question. And it's the best thing about Keller Williams.
Mm-hmm.
It is a puppy mill for new agents. We have 10 people that will join every month. And I'm lucky if one of those agents is there by the end of the year.
Oh, wow. You have a 90% dropout, basically.
Yeah. In the first 3 years, I bet 90% of the people do not renew their license. It's a 3-year licensure, and most of those people will not renew in 3 years.
Wow.
It is a cutthroat industry. If you are going to do it, it is very hard to do it with a full-time job. It is also very hard to do it when you have no income.
Yeah.
So you need to have that balance. I got into it in 2013, and the day I got licensed, I walked in and quit my job. Screw you, I'm out of here.
Nice.
I'm done.
Nice.
I'm a realtor now.
You pulled a half-baked.
Yeah.
I love it.
It took me 4 months to sell a house.
Right.
And they said, keep 6 months of inventory, keep 6 months of income just so that you've got it. And I burned all of that in 4 months.
Wow.
I spent so much money on the signs and the marketing and all the other stuff that you probably didn't need to spend on in the beginning, but I felt that that's what you needed to do.
Right.
And so it took me 4 months. And the first one was an absolute nightmare. And the second one was not easy either. And so it's just like, you got to get the education. You got to go through a few of those transactions before you really realize what you're getting into. And it takes 2 solid years before you've cut your teeth enough to be good at this.
Wow.
Of the 17,000 people, the average was 3 sold houses. You cannot make a living on 3 houses. You cannot make a living on 1 deal a month.
Right.
Unless it's $1 million property. Everything changes there.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're just selling homes, you need to be selling homes. Transactions are big, but in the end of the day, the relationships are those transactions.
Right.
And so too many people will show up to our office going, all right, I got my license. Now give me some business. It's like, no. Go. You got to go find it.
You have to find your own business. Right.
So much of my business is from like the workout group, like the November Project. It's a free workout group that gets together downtown, or the pickleball that I've been playing. Like I play pickleball with a whole bunch of old people, but every one of those people is thinking about moving into a retirement facility. And so I just happen to be the guy. And so I just want to be that person. I want to be Mike, who just happens to be a realtor.
Right.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I can't imagine 2 years just to cut your teeth. So that's probably why a lot of the dropout is by 3, because then they finally realize, oh my God, this is
not for me.
This is not for me. Well, you've been doing it for a long time, and you smile a lot in this interview. You must love what you do.
I love it. It's so much fun.
Hey, if you love what you're doing, what's that whole quote? You don't work a day in your life.
Work. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, but you definitely do. So thank you so much for coming in. Absolutely appreciate it.
I can't thank you. This is phenomenal. I appreciate it.
Of course. If you just kind of caught the tail end of this interview, do know that this interview is going to be on the K4CO Radio social media platforms for at least a month. So rewind it, check it out. Go to bruceholmescolorado.com. We've had his information going down at the bottom, 720-771-0495. That's a cell phone. So you can text that or just shoot him an email, mike@bruceholmesco.com. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
I absolutely love it. Well, stay tuned, everybody. We have an afternoon mix of music right up the way. So if you like upbeat, a lot of good rock and roll and stuff, including a third of the songs, your own Colorado musicians, you got a great afternoon mix ahead of you. So stay tuned. Have a great Friday. Is it still snowing out there?
Oh, yeah.
It is still snowing, man. This is amazing. Mike, thanks a lot, buddy.
All right, thank you.
Have a great one. Take care, everybody. Have an amazing weekend and stay warm out there.